Hello kids, today we are going to learn balancing chemical equations. So what does balancing chemical equation means? That is the molar mass on the left hand side of the equation, that is for the reactants, should be equal to that of the products, that is on the right hand side of the equation. So this side of the arrow is left hand side and this side of the arrow is the right hand side. So in this equation, if you look at it, C has one atom, O has 2. Here C has 1, O has 2. Okay. So the number of atoms for carbon on left hand side is same as that on the right hand side, save for oxygen. There's 2 here on the left hand side of the equation, and for the oxygen it's 2 here. So it's a balanced equation. Now, here your chemical equation is already balanced. Let's say if it wasn't balanced, how would you balance it? So that's what we are going to learn today. So let's get started. I'll take another simple one. So let's say H2 plus O2 gives me H2O. Okay, so to keep it neat, let us create a table. H, how many atoms? 2. Oxygen, how many atoms on the LHS? 2. Now let's create a table on the right hand side. Okay, for the product. So here H is equal to 2 and oxygen, how many? Just 1. So now, what do we see? Is this reaction balanced? No, it's not. Because 2 and 2 is fine for hydrogen. But for oxygen, it's 2 and 1. So to balance it, what do we need to do? We need to make this O as 2. How do we make the O as 2? Let's look at the reactant. So we have 1 O. So if we put a 2 here, it's going to make O as 2. But remember, this 2 on the left hand side that we have put is for both this and for hydrogen and oxygen both. So now if I put a 2 here, my hydrogen also gets multiplied by 2 to give me 4 and my oxygen gets multiplied by 2 to give me 2. Now what happens? This is balanced, but hydrogen is not balanced. Now how do we balance the hydrogen? Let's take a look. So now this is 4, this is 2 here, hydrogen, right? This is 4 and this is 2. So simple, you put a 2 in front of this to make it 4. So now this becomes into 2, which is 4. Now this remains unchanged oxygen, which was already balanced. Now this is 4 here, this is 4 here. So now it's a balanced chemical equation. So let me write the balanced chemical equation. 2H2 plus O2 will give me 2H2O. So the points to remember here is when you put a number in front of a product or a compound, it's applicable for both. You have to multiply both or all the elements within that compound. Okay. The other thing is you have to go back and look if everything is balanced. If you balance this, the other thing may get imbalanced. So you have to make sure that all the items or all the elements in a reaction are balanced. Okay, so we'll take one more example. I hope this is clear. Let's take the next one as Mg plus O2 gives me MgO. Let's make a table here. Mg is 1, O is 2. Here Mg is 1, O is 1. So let's see, 1 and 1 is balanced, 2 and 1 not balanced. So now we need to balance this. Okay, so now how do we balance it? We have to make oxygen as 2. So we have to multiply this by 2. So if I put a 2 here, my oxygen becomes 2. But what happens? This 2 is applicable for both. So my Mg also becomes 2. So I have to multiply Mg by 2, magnesium. Then I multiply my oxygen by 2. So this is 2. Now let's go back and look. So oxygen, oxygen balanced. Mg1 on the left hand side, 2 on the right hand side. So not balanced. To make this balance, what needs to be done? We need to have Mg as 2 on the LHS. And how can I do that? I have to multiply it by 2. And how can I multiply it by 2? If I put a 2 in front of Mg. So this gives me 2. Now Mg is 2 on LHS, Mg is 2 on right RHS. So this Mg part is balanced, right? Oxygen is 2 on LHS, 2 on RHS. So this is balanced too. So this is a balanced equation now. So let me write the balanced equation for you. G plus O2 gives 2 MgO. You don't have to put these square brackets. I just put it to make you understand. Take a second, note it down, and then we'll try one more. Okay. Let's do this one. CO plus H2 gives me CH3OH. Now we have three elements here, right? So C is 1, O is 1, H is 2. Let's make the reactant site table. C is 1, H is 3 plus 1. Remember this 3 and this 1. So you write it like 3 plus 1. Don't write it 4. And one more thing, sorry. So on the RHS, you may write the sequence same as LHS so that it's easy for you to compare. Okay. So my next thing would be O. O is 1 and H is 3 plus 1, which makes it 4. Now let's see if it's balanced. C1 on LHS, C1 on RHS, O 1 on LHS, 1 on RHS, H 2 on LHS, 4 on RHS. So not balanced, right? Now we have to balance this. To balance it, what should we do? We need to make H as 4, right? On left hand side. So how can we make it? By multiplying by 2. So if I put a 2 in front of H, it gives me 4. So now this is 4, this is 4. So is this balanced? Yes. Now all the elements on the left hand side have the same number of atoms as that on the right hand side. So now this is my balanced equation. Let me rewrite this. CO plus 2H2 gives me CH3OH. Good. 2 seconds to note it down. And we move on to the next one. Let's do this. CH4 plus O2 gives me CO2 plus H2O. So let's make the table. C1, H4, O2 on the LHS. Right hand side, C is 1, O is 2 plus 1. 2 from here, 1 from the second. And H, okay, again, remember to write it in the same order. So let me erase this out and let me put the H next because then it's easy to compare. Okay. So I put H, which is 2, and my O is 2 plus 1. Okay. Now let's see if it's balanced. 1 and 1, RHS, both LHS and RHS is same. Good. Hydrogen 4 on the left, 2 on the right, so not balanced. Oxygen 2 on the left, 3 on the right, not balanced. Okay. So now let's balance. Let's start with H. So if you have more than one element that is not balanced, start with the one with the max number. So let's start with H. So to make it 4, what do we do on the RHS? You can't reduce the number, you can only increase, right? So you multiply it by 2 and this gives you 4, right? So where do you put a 2? You put a 2 here. Put a bracket. Now you know this 2 is applicable for this and for this. So 2 into 2 is 4. This 2 into this 2 is 4. And now since we have put 2 here, so my oxygen, this 2, 1, right? This is 1 here, so 2 into 1 is 2. So this 2 becomes, this 1 becomes 2. So I can cut this out. So this 1 is replaced by 2, which makes it 4. Okay. Now let's take a look. If it's balanced, 1 and 1, good. 4 and 4, good for hydrogen. For oxygen, 2 and 4. So not balanced yet. Let's take a look. And so to make oxygen as 4, what do? We have to multiply it by 2 because we have 4 here. So we need a 4 on LHS2. So what do? I put a 2 in front of O2. This gives me 4. So this 2 into this 2 is 4. Now let's take a look. 1 and 1 for carbon, good. 4 and 4 for hydrogen, good. 4 for oxygen, 4 for oxygen, very good. So this is my balanced equation. So let me put this here. CH4 plus 2O2 gives me CO2 plus 2H2O. This is my balanced equation. Let's take a look. One more. And then we'll have few more coming as one more. Okay. Ca, CO3 gives me CaO plus CO2. Okay, let's make a table here. Ca is 1, C is 1, O is 3. On the RHS, we have Ca as 1, C as 1, O as 1 plus 2, which is 3. So let's do the comparison. 1 and 1 for Ca, calcium, good. 1 and 1 for carbon, yes. 3 and 3 for carbon, yes. Wow, it's a balanced equation. So no work to do here. Let me write it as it is again because it's a balanced equation. Okay, guys, one more. Let's do Ag plus Cl2 gives me AgCl. Okay. Ag how many? 1. Cl how many? 2. Right hand Ag how many? 1. Cl how many? 1. Let's see if it's balanced. 1 on the left hand side, 1 on the right for Ag, balanced. Cl2 and 1 on RHS, not balanced. So we need to balance it. Now, how do I balance it? I need to make this S2, right? Because we can't reduce the number, we have to increase it. So if I multiply it by 2, I get a 2 on the right. How do I do that? I put a 2 here. Okay, in front of AgCl. Remember, this 2 is for Ag as well as Cl. So now I have to multiply both by 2. So this makes it as 2, this makes it as 2. Now let's go back and compare again. So Ag on the left is 1, on the right it's 2. Ooh, not balanced. Cl on the left is 2, on the right it's 2. Wow, balanced. So now one more step. And what would that step be? To balance Ag, silver. Now this needs to be 2 on the left, right? So what do? You put a 2 in front of this. But 1 into 2 is 2. Now let's go back and check. 2 for silver on left, 2 on right. Chlorine 2 on left, 2 on right. So this makes it a balanced equation. So what does my equation becomes? 2Ag plus Cl2 gives me 2AgCl. Okay, guys, how about one more? Okay, let's do Fe plus H2O gives me what? Fe3O4 plus H2. Okay, now how many Fe's here on the left hand side? Iron is 1, hydrogen is 2, oxygen is 1. On the RHS, iron is 3, Fe is 3, H is 2. Remember to have the same sequence. H is 2, O is 4. Let's start the comparison. 1 and 3, not same, not balanced iron. Hydrogen 2 and 2, balanced. Oxygen 1 and 4, not balanced. So let's start with, let's say, we can do with any. Let's start with oxygen because this has the most. Okay, 4 is the max. So let me put it here. So how do I do that? I have to make this as 4. How do I make this as 4? I put a 4 in front of H2O. So now what happens, remember? This 4 is both for H2 and O. So this becomes 2 into 4, which gives 8 for hydrogen, and 1 into 4, which gives 4. Now let's go back, compare. Not balanced, iron not balanced, hydrogen not balanced, oxygen balanced. Okay. Now let's go back and check hydrogen. 8 here and 2 here. Simple. So this because this is standalone, right? Hydrogen, so it's easier. You have to just multiply it by 4. How do? We put a 4 here. So nothing else changes except for the hydrogen. Now let's take a look. Iron still not balanced. Hydrogen, yes. Oxygen, yes. Now for iron, this is 3 and this is 1. So what do I need to do? Multiply this by 3. And how do I do that? I put a 3 in front of iron. So now this makes it as 3. Now let's take a look. 3 and 3 balanced. 8 and 8 balanced. 4 and 4 balanced. Good. Now let's write the balanced equation. So 3Fe plus 4H2O will give me Fe3O4 plus 4H2. Okay. You want to do more? Or is this good? Okay. One more for homework. You want me to do it here. C6H12O6 plus O2 gives me CO2 plus H2O. Let me help you. C is how many? 6. H is how many? 12. O is how many? 6 plus 2, which is 8. Here, write in the same order. C is 1 on the right hand side. H is 2. O is how many? 2 plus 1, which makes it as 3. So you want to do it as a homework or should I do it for you? Okay, let me help you, boys and girls. So 6 and 1. Okay, 6, 12, 8, 3, 2. Hydrogen. Let's start with H. So this is 12, this is 2. So 6. We need to multiply this by 6, right? So I put a 6 here. So this is what 6 is for H2 and O. So this gives me 2 into 6, which is 12. And now remember, where would this 6 come? On this 1 part. See, this is 1 here. So this is where you multiply this by 6. Okay. So 1 into 6. So that gives me 2 plus 6, which is 8. Okay. So my oxygen becomes 2 plus 6, which is 8. Now, let's see. Carbon not balanced. Hydrogen balanced. Oxygen balanced. Now, to balance carbon, what do I need to do? Multiply it by 6. To do that, I need to put a 6 here. Okay. Now, this 6 is for C and O2 both. So, if I put 1 into 6 gives me 6. But here O2, this 2 is multiplied by 6 now. Okay, I should have changed the color. That's okay. So now my O becomes 6 2s are 12 plus 6, which is 18. Okay, so now my O is 18. Let's see if it's balanced. 6 for carbon on LHS and RHS. 12 for hydrogen on left hand side and right hand side. Oxygen still not balanced. 8 and 18. That means how many more I need to have here? 18. Okay, so now this needs to be 18. 12 plus 6, 18. Okay. So if I put a 6 here, what it becomes 12. So 6 plus 12 is 18, right? 6 into 2, 12. This makes it 18. So oxygen becomes 18. Now let's go and see. 6 and 6 balanced. 12 and 12 balanced for hydrogen. 18 and 18 balanced. So let me write the final equation. Let me write it on the right hand side this time. C, let me change the color so that it's, where is the color now? We write with red. Okay, so this becomes the same color. Okay, so C6 H12O6 plus 6O2 gives me 6CO2 plus 6H2O. So this is my balanced equation. Okay, guys. So this finishes our class. What I want you to do is open the first chapter of your science book and whatever equations are given there, try to balance them. Okay? And you will get a good hang of it. Okay, good luck, guys. Bye-bye. Have a good day.